Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. Today we're going to take a look at a replay in the Zao. Now, before we get into the replay, just to mention, I am going to be doing a bit of traveling here. So, I'm going to be gone actually today, January 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Which means the next video is going to be Tuesday, January 26th. Yes, so just gone for a few days, and then of course I'll be back on Monday, that's the 25th, and we'll get a video out on the 26th. So just to let you guys know that. Now to get into the replay here, taking a look at the Zao. Now this replay, obviously, you know, again, I'm still getting used to the Zao, right? Still learning her. At this point in time, though, yeah, someone pointed out in the comments, bit of a derp moment. Of course, the Zao's range can be extended because of the module upgrade you buy. So obviously, I've bought that upgrade, and that brings out the range to over 18 kilometers, which isn't too shabby at all. And so, you know, just to get into it, we see I am on Atlantic here, so we're going to go to the south. There's not a point down here, but this is where the majority of my heavy ships are on their way to, so I want to support them. And you know, also on this map, Atlantic, that does seem to be the place where a lot of people go, and a lot of people tend to fight it out down here. So if we can go down here, fight it out, win it, then we can push to the north. You know, that should be a good, sound battle plan for now, anyway. Assuming the enemy comes down here, right? If the enemy doesn't come down here, then we're gonna have to change our whole strategy, and we're just gonna have to reposition ourselves. But luckily, the Zao is also very speedy. Of course, I do have the Sierra Mike flag on it, right? So that's a little extra speed added to it, but you know, over 35 knots, which is fantastic. It is what I look for in a cruiser myself. I know, you know, 30 knots and above is considered great speed and whatnot, but I just find having 35 knots, you know, those extra 5 knots just so much better. It just makes you that much quicker, that much faster, and you're able to maneuver around a little more. So that's just sort of what I enjoy about the Japanese cruises, especially because the majority of them will do over 35 knots, which is just fantastic. Haven't spotted any enemies as of yet, and you'll notice that there are allies down here at the south, right, coming in and around the island, so it's kind of odd. And there we go, there's some enemies there, so we're just going to take a look at them. I mean, there's a Rune, there's a few Macals. Not really anything I want to sort of dabble with right now. You can see that they do have some destroyers as well, and I mean, there's 4 destroyers on their team versus our 5, so that's fantastic. Just giving us the extra destroyer advantage. Not too bad. Got a few shots into that guy. That was pretty great. Did a bit of damage to him as well, which is, you know, what you want to look for and what I'm looking for in the Zao as well. You can see the range really coming into play here as well. It was 3 million credits, but you know, well worth it, I think. And anyway, with the Pearl challenge as well, right? Been getting a lot of credits through that, so lots of credits flowing right now. So no real concern on that front. And I mean, at this time as well, the Zao is fully upgraded. Everything is purchased on it. And in fact, I've got so many credits, and I'm not really sure what my next ship should be, that I've just been buying modules for all my ships. Yeah. It is pretty great, especially like my Fuso and whatnot. They didn't have any modules, and now it does, so it's pretty fantastic. There we have found the bulk of the enemy ships, right? They seem to have been clustered up in and around their base, maybe hesitating to come to the south, and now it seems that they are going to head into the rocks and the islands over there to the northeast. So okay, alright, that, you know, that's fine. I'm going to turn around now, right, or at least start considering turning around now, because I don't, you know, there's no real need to continue here in the south like this. At this point, you kind of want to make up your mind that, yeah, we're going to go north anytime now, right? Like, right now, I still do have some targets I can shoot at, and I can make use of the cover, so I'm going to do that, obviously, but the plan is to get to the north, right? Maybe once I get around the cover, we'll see what the enemy ships actually end up doing, and then that'll determine you know, what I end up doing. So taking a look around as well, most of the enemy battleships still are back there in the south, so that's pretty great, because those are the biggest concerns for me, obviously. I mean, being in the Zao is a great cruiser, but she's a big cruiser. You saw from the damage I just took in that past salvo there, it took about a quarter health away from me, right? So even though you're at tier 10, you can't play it as though she's invincible, obviously. You know, if you give a broadside to any ship at all, well, that's going to open up your Zao to just a whole world of hate and trouble. It's quite bad. Lining up on the enemy battleship now, putting some shots into him, hoping just to set some fires, right? Because I do have high explosive loaded. On the Zao captain as well, I've got demolition expert. Now the captain isn't fully retrained as of yet, so we're still working on that. But once he is fully retrained, that is going to be fantastic, I think. And I did take demolition expert over advanced firing training, because I didn't see the need for advanced firing training. I'm not looking to deck out the Zao for anti-air, right? That's not what this ship is intended for, at least when I play it. And I'm not looking to so the AA, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the advanced firing training, that's the AA. So yeah, just not looking for the advanced firing training on the Zao. And then the main caliber guns, 203 millimeters. You know, they're not going to be affected by the range anyway. Had to buy the module increase. So demolition expert is really the way you want to go once you get to this tier. I mean, I didn't use it, to be fair. I didn't use it on my captains or my my Japanese cruisers leading up to the Zao. But none of those captains were actually able to do it. Only the Mogami captain has his 4th level ability, and it's advanced firing training, obviously, because it's the Mogami. Anyway, continuing along here, you can see that I have decided that I'm going to push up to the north, but I'm going to use my teammates, right? I'm not going to go on some solo push here. I'm going to help my teammates do the push as well. Stick around with these guys, and it's for the best. I mean, I do have some battleships here as well to really support me while we do this push, and in turn, obviously, I'm going to support them. My team isn't doing too bad. We managed to take out a cruiser and an enemy destroyer, so that's nothing too shabby. I mean, at least a destroyer is gone, but now we have to face off against these battleships, right? So I think that was in Iowa. There isn't a Montana around here somewhere as well. Maybe that is the Montana. No, I'm not 100% sure. But we'll see the Montana later on anyway, that's for sure. So we're putting more shots into this guy, right? And here's my Yamato and all these battleship, well, the North Carolina, I guess, in front of him, then the destroyer in front of him, but still working with my allies here, trying to do what I can to get the enemies gone. Most importantly as well, too, right? Making use of this cover, because really don't want to take any more hits. I do have 3/4 health left, maybe, but yeah, it could melt away pretty quickly when we're talking about these big battleships here. Enemy battleship took a huge hit from one of my friendlies, so that is fantastic. We're going to whittle this guy away, and then we can start working our way up to the north. And you'll see as well that for the most part, in terms of the battle line, that in this situation, I'm staying behind the battleships, right? The battleships are pretty close range right now. When I say pretty close for battleship, it's, we're under 25 kilometers away here. So, good range for the battleships to engage in. I'm still able to engage in the enemies, but I can stay behind my battleships and use them as cover rather than me taking all the hits. And no, that's not selfish or anything. That's just the way that you should be playing your cruisers, right? The battleships are meant to absorb a lot of damage. That's what they're there for. That's what all their armor is there for. The cruisers, in the meantime, are there to quickly deal out damage, eat away at the enemies, and get them gone. In order to do that, you need to be alive, so you want to try and preserve your life as much as possible. So it's at this point that, yeah, we're going to go to the north now. It's decided. See, my battleships have pushed around their side. That's great. The enemy battleships up there that we are engaging, they're kind of in a retreat right now, right? Sort of repositioning at this time. The enemy is making a play onto our base. We can see an enemy ship coming near that as well. So it's a good time for me to push forward here. Let the battleships continue up along the east side. I'm going to take the middle here so that I can fire onto either side, right? East or west, depending wherever they need me. More enemy ships start popping up. We do start seeing the reappearance of some of these Russian cruisers as well. Now, it's not necessarily that I was afraid of the Russian cruisers, especially in the Zao, but what I was most concerned with was just simply the fires, right? Any fires that people set to me, because they'll set a fire, I'll repair it, but then more shots will come in and they'll set me on fire again, right? And that has happened a few times on the Zao so far, especially with the commander not being retrained. You really do notice it. Moving into the north now as well, and we can see that my destroyer over there on the extreme west is really pushing up, right, and putting pressure on those battleships. So that is great. I probably am not going to be needed on that side. Yeah, unfortunately we did just lose the cruiser that was over there, but there's still 2 battleships, one of them being the Yamato. So maybe I won't be needed on the west, but look over here on the east. There are some, cruisers popping up here, putting pressure on the base. So that Macau is gone. Fantastic. The team did a great job there, but we do have an enemy destroyer. So we're going to need to start engaging this guy now. Ideally, you want to hit him and kill him, right? But the way I always justify missing shots like that is, at the very least, hopefully, you put the fear of God into that guy, and he's going to learn not to just sit there, and he's going to run away. At the very least, maybe run away, and you'll fight him another time. It's the only way I can justify it. There's the enemy Montana that I was talking about earlier. Now, this guy, pretty terrified of that guy, right? Those are some pretty big guns. Even though the Montana may not be the best tier 10 battleship, it's still a tier 10 battleship, so it could still do a bunch of damage to me. Up pops the Macaws. So immediately I do clear out my barrels of the high explosive. We're loading up armor piercing now because obvious reasons, right? We're going to start lining up on the Macaw. I do get a few hits there with the armor piercing, but it didn't really do anything at all. But now I did really get some range in there. Find my range rather, put the shots in at the waterline. We'll just watch this spread come in and hope. Blam, that's right. 4 citadels on the Russian cruiser there, and he's gone. Fantastic. Of course, the player had some choice words for me as well. If you watched, maybe it was yesterday's video or the day before, you will remember this player. That's why I was laughing so hard in that other video, because I knew that this was coming up. But anyway. Up pops another tier 8 Russian cruiser. This guy, though, he seemed a little smarter because he was angling his ship a little more, so it made it harder to actually line up and get the citadels on the waterline that I needed in order to actually take him down. But you can see here was my fear, right? The shots coming in, because I know that he's firing high explosive at me, and he's so far away that if the shots come in, set me on fire, I'm going to use the repair. Then he's gonna, and then by the time the next salvo comes in, the repair ability will be gone, and then I might still be set on fire. And my commander isn't retrained, so I don't have the ability to put that fire quickly out when my repair might not be available. So that was my biggest concern there. Now, more of the Russian cruisers are putting fire into me. Well, one of the Russian cruisers, but the aim is pretty off right now, so I'm not too concerned about it. But you can see as well that I don't have a great shot right now. I'm gonna let this guy turn, gonna kind of wait for it to time my shots, and then just shoot off some cascading shots there in roughly different directions, different elevations at that spot. Hopefully one of them will hit him, maybe get a citadel, and maybe it'll kill him. But no. This guy, he was all over it, maneuvering all over the place, right? Pretty great. But now we're sort of at the time and in the position where we can really start putting some pressure on the enemy base. You'll notice that my friendly destroyer is already in there capping. We do have some other ships moving along here as well. The battleships are in the background sort of supporting the cap, but they're not actually in it. So I figured that this was a great time for me to actually go into the cap and start helping the destroyers. Provide that close-in support to them that maybe help us cap this base and win the battle as well, because I don't want to lose. Losing will cost money, a lot of money, so don't want that to happen. You can see that we're almost done with this enemy battleship over here. He's almost dead, so that's pretty great. Unfortunately, though, it is the Montana. So, again, he's got a lot of hit points, and he manages to get himself out of this situation. I think he's actually moving in behind some cover right now. But my team is still firing at him, right? They're still trying to put shots into him. They're just not able to bring him down as much as they once were. There's an Amagi there that popped up in the background as well, so we need to take this guy into account. But luckily, if he's not using his spotter plane, I'm out of his range until about 19 kilometers, so that's pretty good. We're looking at the Russian cruiser right now. I wanted to get this guy gone, not only because he's posing a pretty big threat right now, but he was also a division mate of the first Russian cruiser I had managed to kill. So just wanted to let these people know. So putting some shots into him here. Armor piercing is loaded, obviously. It was a good salvo, right? But I just wasn't able to finish him off. I got the one citadel out of it, pretty good, but now I just have to get another shot into him here, and we should be able to finish him off, and that'll be my second kill for the game. So that won't be too bad. There we go. He's gone. Fantastic. moving into the enemy base now, right? Really close. We still have the Amagi to be concerned with, and there's the enemy Montana. I wasn't thinking at all. This is the time when it all goes wrong. Didn't take the Montana into account at all. I was more like, well, you know, he's on very low health. What are the chances of him looking at me? We'll put some shots into him. I've got the armor piercing loaded as well. I wanted to try to hit his superstructure, right? Because if you can hit the superstructure with your armor piercing on these battleships, you can do some pretty big and consistent damage. It's really actually quite good. And then, yeah. All those plans, all those dreams and aspirations gone. The Montana just broadsides me, right? I gave him the broadside too. I was turning away from him, away from the cover, when I really should have been turning into it and just wasn't thinking at all, and blam, gone. But saving grace in all of this is that my team is actually in the base capping, right? Specifically my destroyer. There he is there. He's capping away. The enemies don't see him at all. The Montana was just sunk, so that is pretty good. It's just the Amagi in the background, I believe, that's remaining. And then obviously there are some enemy destroyers that are putting pressure on our base in the south, but yeah, they're not able to do anything about it. And we get the victory. So overall, not too bad. Only about 64,000 damage, and that's what equates to not earning as much money. Third overall in the team here. Like I say, about 64,000 damage there that we see. 7,200 credits. Yeah, now I would have lost money if I hadn't been flying the Zulu flag with the extra credits. So that's 7,200 credits I walk away with the 1.2 times, because it's 229,000 to repair the Zao. Yeah, so it's an expensive beast. You can see here, actually, yeah, there we go. I start buying the rest of the modules for her, right? Well, I buy one more, and then we're gonna buy another one, because I'm trying to maintain at least 1,000,000 credits right now. But anyway, that's another time. So anyway, like I say, I won't be putting up any videos until Tuesday, January 26th, as I will be out of town. But hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. Get to see some more Zao gameplay here as well. You know, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.